How's it going? Hello, hello, hello. Thank you all for coming. I am Jukay, and I'm the founder of Coalition for Queens. Welcome to Queens Tech Meetup. We're so excited that you're all here today. We have some great companies demoing and presenting, sharing with you the cool stuff that they're making. For those of you that are here for the first time, Coalition for Queens is a nonprofit, and we work to foster the Queens Tech ecosystem here in our great community, which is the world's most diverse community. And Queens Tech Meetup is one of our programs to encourage kind of entrepreneurs and companies to demo and showcase kind of the cool things that are happening here in the borough and across the city. Before we kick off, I want to quickly thank some of our sponsors. Plaxel, who generously donated this space for us to use. They're a Lion City-based manufacturing company and landowner. Originally one of the pioneers in plastics manufacturing, so old school tech. As well as want to thank Covington & Burling, which is a great law firm here in New York, and they represent lots of tech companies, from startups to large companies like Google and Verizon. And also thank some of our sustaining sponsors, SoftLayer, which is a IBM company that has a platform to support startups, and they provide a lot of great services that startups can utilize. You can find more on our website, and we'll send out more information about that as well. And then Shay CPA, which Shay is actually here. He provides kind of accounting services for dozens of startups here in New York. And it's a great opportunity if you're a startup looking for accounting and other services. And then last, also want to thank Verizon, one of our presenting sponsors, who's generously providing this wireless hotspot for us here for everyone to use. And then also, is someone here from Verizon want to say a couple of words? Please give them a round of applause.
How you doing today? All right, so my name is Will Rivera. I work for Verizon Wireless. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit, I won't take too much of your time, about something we recently just launched in cities coast to coast. You've probably seen some commercials on TV about it, probably heard a commercial on the radio. It's called XLTE. Have you guys heard about that? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you all about it right now so you'll know. So, pretty much what it does, it doubles the bandwidth of our LTE service. So what does that mean? So to give you an example, imagine you're driving home from work, you want to get home, you want to go home to eat, to your family, and you're on the highway with 2 lanes. So now you're stuck in traffic, you're stopping, you're braking, you're stopping, you're braking, and it takes you an hour to get home because of all that traffic on 2 lanes. You're saying to yourself, how does this highway have only 2 lanes, right? So now imagine that same highway, now with 4 lanes. Now traffic is moving, right? You're drag racing down this highway, right? You have a big open highway. That is what XLTE is going to do when you're using your device to go on the internet. So instead of running your internet through a small 2-lane highway, now it's expanded and traffic can flow a lot faster. And what does that mean? When traffic is moving faster, you're going to have faster peak speeds also on your internet. Right? That's a great thing. I know when I'm on my phone and I'm streaming video or audio, I don't want it to buffer. I don't want to wait. And XLTE will fix that. So let's talk about devices. Now, I remember, does anyone here have Verizon Wireless? All right. When we first started LTE 4G, what happened? We had to get new devices, right? There were 2 devices. I think it was the HTC Ares, I think it was, and the Thunderbolt. So if you wanted to experience 4G LTE, you would have to get the Thunderbolt. So if you had an iPhone 4S, it's only on 3G. If you had anything else on Verizon, you weren't able to utilize LTE. Now with XLTE, that won't be the issue. So we have over 100 devices that are currently able to work on XLTE. So if you have an iPhone 5C, 5S, or maybe you have an Android, Galaxy S4, S5, those are capable to work on XLTE. So you don't have to make any changes on any of the settings, and it'll just work that way. And I think I'm out of time, right? All righty. So thanks again for having Verizon down here.
Great, thank you very much. And for those that want to access the Wi-Fi, the Verizon network, the password is Verizon Event. Is that right? Verizon Event, all lowercase. So jump on the Verizon hotspot and tweet out, share the event. And we also have, so the hashtag that we generally use is Queens Tech, and then also all the Twitter handles. There's some signs across around the room. Show some love for the demoers that are presenting, and share with us what you think. All right, and before we kick off, now I want to choose Aaron, who's the MC and one of the organizers of Queens Tech Meetup. Please give him a round of applause.
I need that. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much, Jukay. I'm super excited to be kicking off yet another demo portion of Queens Tech Meetup. In case you haven't been here before or know who I am, I'm like a 6-year veteran of the New York City startup community, 3-time startup co-founder. I now work on the business development team at a mobile dev shop called Fueled. I'm happy to say that one of our clients will be demoing here tonight, so forgive me if I'm a little biased towards one person in particular. That being said, I'd like to welcome new members to the community here today. One of our goals is to double our membership by the end of the year, and I'm just curious, who is here for the first time? Awesome. That is what we like to see. Did we get a picture of that? Did we get the first timers? That's what we really like. Okay, I'm assuming that's a yes on that. Welcome everybody here for the first time. As Jukay said, Coalition for Queens is dedicated to sponsoring technology innovation here in Western Queens, bringing companies to Long Island City, companies like Songza, Shapeways, Uber. These are really big companies doing amazing things, and we are incredibly happy to host them here. Let's see, what else? So one of the reasons why we do this meetup is because we want to show you amazing technology, but we also want to give you all the opportunity to meet each other outside of a typical work environment, and not necessarily at such a crazy large event like New York Tech Meetup. Not that I don't love New York Tech Meetup, but there's only so much you can do in a room with 1,000 other people. So now we're going to start the demo portion of our event here. Our first demo actually isn't running a startup. She actually works for the Queens Library. Tara Lannen-Stanton is coordinator for the Queens Library Job and Business Academy. The JBA provides expanded training and educational opportunities, particularly technology training, to job seekers, entrepreneurs, and the general public. She's coming here tonight to tell you about that and the many other resources that the Queens Library has to offer. And particularly, she's here to tell you about their new free access to the Treehouse learning program. So, Tara, there you are. Welcome, Tara. One thing I learned from talking to Tara is that the Queens Library System is actually completely separate from the New York Public Library and Brooklyn Public Library. So it's special just for people who live in Queens, and she's here to sign you up for a Queens Library card if you can prove that you live in the borough. So, oh, maybe there's an asterisk there. But anyway, now here's Tara.
Hi, everyone. How are you this evening? How many of you have been to a Queens Library location in the past year? Awesome. That's fantastic. How many of you think about the library as just books? Yeah. It's okay. Don't be shy. Queens Library and the other library systems in New York City and libraries throughout the country are not just about books anymore. I became a librarian because I loved books, but I made my way into sort of the workforce development, job readiness, technology training piece of the library, which the library is really currently expanding. For those of you who are looking for work, looking to start companies, the Job and Business Academy provides a lot of different services, everything from beginner computer training, maybe you want to send your grandma or your dad to the library like I have, to learn how to use a computer, learn how to use an iPad, things like that. But we're also now offering a lot of intermediate and advanced classes in person, and a lot of online learning opportunities as well. So, Treehouse. How many of you have used Treehouse? How many of you currently pay for accounts? Don't need to anymore. With your Queens Library card, which you can get if you live, work, go to school, or own property in New York State. You don't have to live in Queens. It's the same with New York Public Library and Brooklyn Public Library, but let me tell you what they don't have. They don't have Treehouse. Normally you'd have to go into a Queens Library location and get a library card, but tonight I'm going to be passing around library card applications. How many of you currently have a library card? Okay, you're all set to use Treehouse. You just have to go. There's bookmarks and flyers on the table. You go to the customized URL, sign up. Yeah. Yes. Sorry. Treehouse is an online learning platform, really interactive, that is primarily for computer coding, computer programming. There are lots of different tracks. It's also, and we've gotten really great feedback from customers, it also has a track specifically on starting your own business, finance, budgeting, marketing, those sorts of things. And that's actually where a lot of our usage is coming from, which is something that we hadn't really anticipated since it's really tech heavy. So we'd like to get, more usage. We just launched this a month and a half ago. So I know you said that you were using Treehouse, right? Yeah. You want to tell everyone what you're using Treehouse for?
I'm using Treehouse to learn Rails and SQL, like database querying.
So, yeah, there's lots of different things you can learn. So once you have your Queens Library card, if you go to sign up for a free account, it's very, very simple. Name, address, username and password, email address and password, and then your Queens Library credentials, which is your barcode number. And the reason why it's important for you to sign up for a library card tonight is we will mail your library cards to you, and you'll have your barcode ready to go. You could sign up online, but if you sign up online, you just choose a username, and the way that Treehouse's authentication system works, you can't use it with a username, so you have to have your library barcode. I'm going to pass this around if you want to take an application. All you have to do later on is show me your photo ID, just to prove that you live, work, go to school, or own property in New York State. And then by next week, you'll have your library barcode. So once you have signed up, you can choose different tracks. If you want to go to the tracks. And we looked at a lot of products before deciding on Treehouse, and one of the things that my team really liked was that it's fun. There's a pirate, there's all of these stories, but it's also, really serious, and each level builds on the next level. So if you want to scroll back up, I am theoretically doing the web design track. So if you click on resume. And it takes you through every step of the process. There's a lot of, interactivity. And what's really great is if you are looking for work, even casually, in your profile, when you edit your profile, you can say that you're looking for work. And Treehouse works with different IT companies and just companies looking for tech people in general. And they'll say, we want someone with a lot of Ruby on Rails experience. You accumulate points. Treehouse says, well, for this, you need to have 3,000 points. And then they will submit your portfolio that you've created on Treehouse to the different companies. And what's really cool at the library that we've been doing out of the Central Library in Jamaica, and we're going to start it at some other libraries, including the Long Island City and Flushing libraries, is we're having coding labs where people can come together, use Treehouse, other things. And for us, we actually have people who a year and a half ago came in and had never used a computer before. and worked their way through all of our classes and are now learning how to do web design and web development through Treehouse. So we provide a continuum of services, and this, is one of our higher level. But if you are looking for work, I would encourage you to come to a Queens Library location that has a job in Business Academy. Whether it's, you want to learn more about networking or you want to do a mock interview. How many of you get nervous at interviews? Yeah? Yeah. I'm one of those weird people that I really like interviews, but I know I'm an anomaly. We do interview preparation classes, mock interviews. You can come in, you can sit down with, employment counselors, career coaches, and they will lead you through common and not so common questions, as well as, resume review, all sorts of things. So, it's the complete package. And that's basically it. Does anyone have any questions about Queens Library? Oh, questions later. Okay, never mind. Hold your questions.
Thank you very much, Tara. Yes, we'll do questions for all demos in groups of 3. So if you have a question, write it down, tweet yourself or something, and we'll have a chance for questions later. Our next, what is our next? Yes, our next demoer is Felix Lung, the CTO and CTO and CEO and co-founder of Zola. Oh, just CTO? Oh, forgive me. I have you as both. Interesting. Okay, just the CTO, but you are co-founder, right? Okay, CTO and co-founder of Zola. Zola seeks to simplify the process of setting up a wedding registry, make it a lot more flexible, a lot better than existing solutions. Felix used to work for Gilt Group, DoubleClick, and Intel. I'm super happy that he's now taking that incredible enterprise experience and leveraging it in the entrepreneurial community. So without further ado, here's Felix.
Can you guys hear me? Thanks for the intro. My name is Felix. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Zola. That over there is Nobu, who's driving the website and whatnot. Nobu is also the chief design officer and co-founder and brain behind all of this from a design product perspective for Zola. Not this, but not Macy's. And yeah, so again, if you guys can't hear me, let me know. I do tend to talk fast if I get nervous. So real quick, Zola launched in October of last year and was created by several ex-Gilt Group veterans. And our primary mission was to basically reimagine what the wedding registry experience should be like. And so we thought that a great way to sort of kick things off and put things in perspective as to why we went about creating Zola was to show you what a real wedding registry is like right now on a highly trafficked website, popular wedding registry location such as Macy's. So this is a wedding registry that we randomly pulled up. And as you can see, everything about a wedding, when you think about weddings, you think about weddings that are beautiful, right? Everything from the wedding to the reception, to the honeymoon, to picture taking, everything. But when we think of wedding registries, that doesn't really come to mind. You don't think about things being beautiful or personalizable. And you look at this, and I think it pretty much exemplifies all of that, right? It's just a list of products. There's nothing really, really pretty about this. So in contrast to this, we wanted to showcase a registry that was on Zola that an actual couple created. So you go on Zola, if you go into the homepage, every week we have 3 featured registries that we show off. And here's one created by, I think Jordan, I'm not sure who the other person was, but with, from a perspective of the wedding registry, now all of a sudden as a couple, you can customize everything about it. The cover photo, the profile image, make it your style, this really awesome image here. Also be able to give a greeting to your friends and family, right? So tell them about why you're doing this. And we have this notion of collections, which this couple actually really does a good job in showcasing. So those of you familiar with Pinterest and Pinterest boards, the collection is akin to a Pinterest board. And it's a way to frame and tell a story and give an explanation as to why you might want these things, right? So we drill down into the honeymoon collection. Here it's here's this couple who wants to have an amazing honeymoon. And they're thinking about, having a hotel or, having gas for their trip. And one of the features that Zola provides is this notion of group gifting. So there are couples out there who, we heard through research that they'd like to put up big ticket items, whether it's a honeymoon trip, but they often feel a little bit obnoxious asking for, like, let's say $4,000. So we thought, well, how do you alleviate that, right? So this whole notion of group gifting allows the couples to basically say, you know what, to our friends and family, let's contribute. Please feel free to contribute as little or as much as you want to this gift. And the other nice thing about this is that it gives gift givers the ability to give something meaningful from a gift perspective, as opposed to going to, like, how many of you have gone to wedding registries and you're late, right? And all you can choose are sort of leftover items, right? So this gives you the ability to give something that's meaningful, right? And a honeymoon trip or dining out, and yeah. So here, and these are items that we offer on Zola. So people can purchase it, or they can opt to create a cash gift, or they can opt to bring in third-party products, which we'll go into the next step, which is, now that I've sort of showcased a real registry on Macy's and our registry on Zola, we can kind of go through the real process of what it's like to register and create an account. So as some of you might know, should know, or hopefully know, Mila and Ashton got engaged recently. So we thought we'd create a wedding registry in their name, just because we know they're going to create one anyhow, right? So it's as simple as signing up. We'll sign up on the Mila. And then we ask for some of the basic information, who your partner is, their name, and then what kind of URL would you like. We assume certain things, but that URL, which may not be clear, this is the URL that you would share with your friends and family. Put it on your invitation, your wedding website, whatnot, and then you basically tell us when your wedding date is. You don't have to, you can tell us later, but we have that information in here for you. And then it's simple as creating a registry, and that's it. We've created a real wedding registry for Mila and Ashton with some default imagery. We can go ahead, if you don't like this image, you can click on that button and choose from a selection of images that we have for you, or you can just customize it yourself. So here we're going to customize and add a picture of Mila and Ashton that we're going to upload and crop. And this one happens to be an awesome image from That 70s Show. Bring that down a little bit. And voila. And now we have a custom, and then you can go ahead and customize a profile image. And so we have another cute picture of the two of them that we found. Set that, and that's it. And so it's as easy as that. And that's, you can go ahead and we can customize the introduction. We assume Mila and Ashton, we can customize your greeting right there on the registry. And from this point on, it's a matter of just adding products to your registry. Right? So from this page, you can bring up what we call the Add Gifts modal, and you can go through, you can basically filter all your products and whatnot by categories, such as kitchen, home goods, tabletop. We also have this notion of starter collections, which are basically curated products that our merchandising team has put together around themes. You can also, if you know specific brands that you want, you can drill down, go to KitchenAid, Wusthof, Cuisinart, etc. You have the option also. Let's say you have something that trying to think of something, some item from Tiffany that you want to have but we don't offer. You can import products from a third-party website such as Tiffany, and basically that will give you a one-stop shop experience for your friends and family. Alternatively, finally, you can create a cash and honeymoon fund and have your friends contribute money towards that. I think for us, we're going to try showcase starter collections real quick. And here are a bunch of collections that, again, our merchandising team has created. We'll go into registry essentials, and maybe Mila and Ashton really love everything that we've curated on this collection. And I think there's something like 55 items on this collection. So we can go ahead and say, you know what, I want everything that's in here and add it to my registry. And it's simple as pressing that one button, and you're done. You go straight back to your registry, and you'll see that this collection has been added to your collection, to your registry on the bottom. Alternatively, you can, it's at 63 items. It's been growing since we left earlier. We can go ahead and add a bunch of other items from the website. So we'll drill, and maybe we'll probably go to a couple of categories. Maybe go grab the Vitamix blender, which we recently just added and people absolutely love. I mean, it's simple as just adding that. He's going to go ahead and add a couple of things, but something to think about with regards to and a feature that I talked about earlier, group gifting. In the sort of the average, what we found in research, the average price for items on a wedding registry is typically about 100, 150, or 100 in New York, we think. And so that Vitamix blender might be a little bit out of your price range at $449. But that's okay, because we can go in there. You can go in there as a registrant, click on it, edit it, and actually enable group gifting. And now that what this means is your friends and family can contribute $10, $100, however much towards that item, right? And basically help them fulfill this rather somewhat expensive item for you. And so, and then you can also customize messages and whatnot. Trying to think of anything else I missed out here. And it's as simple as that. Once you have all the products that you want on your registry, the last step really is to publish it, because when you first create a registry, it's private. As soon as you publish it, you can. Oh, we ask for some shipping address information because we need to know where to send the products to. And once we do that, that URL, that registry is live, and we can basically share it with all your friends and family from that point on. And that's basically it. So.
Thank you very much, Felix. Okay, how are we doing so far? 2 demos down, 4 to go. How are you enjoying that beer? That beer's brewed in Queens, believe it or not. Thank you very much, by the way, to our beer sponsor, Single Cut. Let's see. Okay, up next, we have Michael Smith, the CEO of Soshio. Soshio is a social media analytics sentiment platform. They specialize in the Chinese social media market, actually. Michael has a very interesting story to tell us about working across cultures. He was born in Switzerland. He is 1/4 Chinese, but doesn't speak Mandarin, which presents some very interesting challenges to someone trying to build a business in New York that works with data found in China. I'm also supposed to tell everyone that his first business was working at a smoothie bar. Indeed. So here's Michael.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Aaron, for this great introduction. Yes, it's true. I am the co-founder of a Chinese analytics company, and I do not speak Chinese. It's always an eyebrow raiser. Like, people think, why is this guy doing that? And all I can say is it's a great conversation starter. For meetups, I get invited for meetups. I get interviews exactly for that one question. And actually, that one question is just the next one right there. It's, well, why you? They hear all these great buzzwords, especially these big conferences. You can see the faces, and you can say, you hear, here's a company that does big data. Here's a company that analyzes China. Yes. Data analytics, social media, all the buzzwords. And then they hear Michael Smith, common name, okay, and he does not speak Chinese. Question is, why him? Why you? And the answer is fairly simple. The answer is because I saw a need. My background is in brand management, marketing, and global. And I worked for companies such as Unilever on Dove and Avon Cosmetics on hair care. And what a large part of my job was really looking at data of consumers and understanding different cultures, their consume behaviors, what are they lacking, what are they missing, from Brazil to Russia, Europe, North America. But when it came to China, I had a big black hole. I had all the social media data from all these other countries. In real time, I could look what competitors are doing, I could look what people are saying about competitors, but I never had anything on China. All I had on China was flying into Hong Kong, getting about maybe setting up, in best case, 200-300 people in focus groups. This is where you put them in a room and you ask them a whole bunch of questions about your product and competitors. And that's it. And based upon that, I had to build entire strategies, a 1-year strategy, around how to target the Chinese consumer and get my brand to grow 20%. Now, if you know China, if you've been there or know anything remotely about it, it's a huge country. North is different than the south, east is different than the west, and you have 1.3 billion people. So understanding the culture and understanding the nuances and the language and the needs of the consumer is huge, especially in a market where you have currently over 600 million people online posting data on social media. Over 600 million. That is close to twice the size of the United States. And they do that on their own platforms. And that's why when I say I did not have that data, that was the case. The case is that I had access to all the fire hoses to Facebook, Twitter, and so on and so forth from using Salesforce. And I had all the real data right on my fingertips. But with China, if you know, Facebook and Twitter is restricted, as is YouTube and some others. So the Chinese, as smart as they are, they just went ahead and built it themselves. So they built multiple Twitters, multiple Facebooks. And some of these platforms are today larger than the Western platforms. So for Western companies not to tap into this huge data pool would be insane if you really are serious about the Chinese market. And that's where I came in, and that's where we built it. So what we did was, because obviously not being able to speak Chinese, I gathered a team around me of Chinese-speaking people. So Chinese tech developers, Taiwanese tech developers. We have a team of great data analysts from Taiwan and China. And they are really the ones that do the heavy lifting. I'm the guy that gets to come to you and tell you these funny stories. But they are the ones that really prove the fact that even though I've seen the need, we can build a company with the right people to deliver to the Western companies what they need. Because this is really where I'm coming from. I understand what they need, and my team delivers. So I'm just giving a quick, just a very brief overview of what we've done. You can switch over actually to the dashboard. So what we've created is, over the past 1 year, we've launched beginning 2013, we created a quick dashboard. And what I did is I pre-populated this dashboard for you, analyzing some of the Weibo content. Weibo is the Chinese equivalent, well, let's say Twitter, if you want. They have multiple different Weibos. And what we were tracking here was the keyword around smartwatch back in September 2013. So what we provide here is basically we track the keyword, we look at the volume of the conversation, we look at where the different platforms of the sources. If you go click over to demographics, we can pull in the information of which gender is having the conversation, and further down where the conversation is originating from. Next up is sentiment. So sentiment, what we do there is we basically look at what people are saying and how they're saying it and what is the general sentiment in their posts. We do go deeper into emotions. And this is something that, as a marketer, I always struggled with when someone says positive, negatives. Great, I knew now 40% of the people are saying positive things about me. Well, what does that actually mean? Or negative, what does that mean? So we went deeper and we analyzed each of the individual words that express some type of sentiment, and we bucketed it into 7 categories to give a marketer more insight on the consumer. For instance, if an angry consumer has to be different communicated with or dealt with than a sad consumer. Those are 2 different strategies, and that's what the kind of insight we try to provide. You can go into, we also provide context, so you can see what people are saying in respect to, like in context to that keyword that we're tracking. In this particular case, we were tracking also things like Apple, Pebble, also came up when people were talking about smartwatch. And last but not least, we can list out all the individual posts and contents that we've gathered. So this is really briefly, in a very brief nutshell, what we do and what we've built over the year. And if we can switch over to actually the presentation again. Some of our clients, the clients that we have currently, range from the government, the U.S. government, trying to understand what people are saying about U.S. policies, Obama, and so on and so forth, all the way over to consumer products, financial institutions, and legal firms. But basically, in a nutshell, everyone that is trying to get insight into, and that's the kind of market we focus on. So yes, it might be unusual that I don't speak Chinese, but if most of our consumer clients are from the outside looking in, I'm able to communicate with them. So last but not least, we just got mentioned in CIO Reviews this month's edition as proud to announce one of the 100 most promising big data companies in the US. And if you guys are in Shanghai, please drop by. We'll be presenting, got invited to AdTech in Shanghai. We're going to be talking about big data and social media. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mike. You know, when I first met Mike, I was a little nervous. I wasn't exactly sure what demoing this project was going to look like, and I have to say I'm incredibly impressed. Let's give him another round of applause. And now actually get back up here because it's time for questions. First three demoers, could you please come back to the front? Eric and Felix. Who has questions for Soshio, Queens Library, or Zola? Questions right here? Question?
Question for Zola about your revenue model. I guess I can understand, since you have curator products, I'm guessing you have a buyer on your side who, decides what products would be most pertinent for you to introduce to use every service, and I guess you can make revenue through that. Do you make a revenue off of any of your imported products, like if somebody were to import a gift from Tiffany's or from Macy's?
So the question is, are you making a profit off of importing products?
Right now, no. So our primary, from the perspective of a revenue model, we're just like any other e-commerce site. We're selling products, like you said, for any exported products or imported products from third-party websites. We're not making any money off of that right now. It's strictly converted into a cash product, essentially, and people are essentially then contributing money towards that cash. And the only thing that we ask people to cover is the payment processing fee at this time.
Any more questions? Question right here. Follow up for Zola.
Plan to do affiliate links or whatnot to third-party sites, monetize it that way? Yes.
Do you have plans to do affiliate links? Okay. Now, I don't know if anyone here has been to New York Tech Meetup before, but they have a very strict no business model question rule. I don't have such a strict rule, but generally speaking, I'd like to talk about product more than business. So does anyone have a product question? Joly.
For both Soshio and Zola, how did you come up with the name?
How did you come up with your name, Soshio?
Soshio, social, and we just played around with the name and came up with Soshio. So.
Sounds like a really complicated process. How about Zola? How'd you come up with your name?
Nobu might have a better story to tell, but basically we had a bunch of interns last summer who were off in a room and just coming up with, so those of you who watched Silicon Valley recently, very similar to that episode where there's just a laundry list of names, and Zola was just one of the names that actually kind of wasn't immediately on the top of the list, but it was short, 4 letters, and it means love.
It means love in Zulu.
Hey!
So yeah, that was the awesome.
So.
Sounds like you have easy entrance to the African bridal registry market. This is a cheap joke, but Tara, how did you come up with the name Queens Library?
We've been around for a while. Unfortunately, it wasn't my genius idea to call it Queens Library.
Understood. Any more questions? Maybe a real question for Tara? Real question for the library in the middle there?
So as someone who was raised in Queens and who works in tech, I'm very happy to hear that you guys are providing coding courses. But I'm just a little concerned I haven't heard about this yet as somebody who's from both communities. I'm just wondering how you're spreading the word about about this opportunity to learn.
Yeah.
How are you sorry, it's for the video. How are you spreading the opportunity other than appearing at Queens Tech Meetup?
It's, what we've been doing in terms of coding and the more advanced technology training opportunities is really pretty new for the library, and we've sort of been testing it out for the past year. And, we do a lot of just, traditional media and online media just through the library's marketing and communications department. But in our new fiscal year, which starts in July, you'll see a lot more about our sort of intermediate and advanced opportunities all over the place, hopefully. And we have actually a new tool called Job Map, which I didn't really want to talk about here because I really want to get a lot of people to focus on Treehouse. But that's sort of your entry point for all of the Job and Business Academy services. It's jobmap.queenslibrary.org. You take an assessment, you can see all of our classes, and we'll really be pushing that in the next year as the online entry point to all of our services.
Awesome, fantastic. We have time for one more question for any three of them right here.
I'm wondering, based on the implications of the technology, it's very powerful. And I'm wondering if I'm sure it can be used to maintain a kind of status quo in our culture if put in the wrong hands. So I'm wondering if you thought about this at all and what kind of discretion you're using to keep it out of the wrong hands.
What are you doing to not be evil, I guess?
Well, I hope my mom raised me right. No, so what are we doing to not be evil? We definitely focus to stay away of any type of one-to-one kind of platforms. One of these platforms is like WeChat, which is, and if you don't know, it's something similar to a WhatsApp, but much, much better. And basically, we do not try to get into one-on-one conversations and analyze those. We stay strictly to things that have been posted publicly. And on top of it all, we also focus, we have a 10-minute lag time. And the reason we do that is because we give the Chinese government time to censor everything out, and then we pick it up to not get involved with the government.
For the record, I don't think you're evil at all.
No.
Okay, actually, we have time for one more question for these three. I think I saw another one back there. Yes, ma'am.
How did the Queen's Library program determine which skills you're going to be teaching through Treehouse and who's developing the curricula?
The question is, how did you decide which skills to feature in the Treehouse program?
It's everything that Treehouse offers. Treehouse is a company that is not affiliated with the Queen's Library. So essentially, Queen's Library is paying for everyone to have free access. And we, to subscribe to Treehouse, we just bought basically everything that they had, except for some of the really high-end stuff, which, as a public library, we couldn't afford. So.
Fantastic. Let's give a hand to our first three demoers. Thank you very much. Okay, now part two, three more demos. We're going to keep going here. Our next demoer is Rukkus, an incredibly cool way to find concert tickets online. Demoing Rukkus will be Manick Bahn. I hope I said that correctly. You're CEO and CTO? Oh, okay, so he's the double C-suite executive right there. My apologies again to Felix, or rather Nobu, for demoting you again. Let's see, Manick sold his first startup when he was 14, really? Wow, so that puts him into a very coveted club of exited entrepreneurs. I think that's about all I have to say. Manick, take it away.
There's really not much more to say besides that. Hey guys, it's good to be in front of you guys today. I want to introduce you to Rukkus. If you haven't heard of it, if you don't have the app, we launched our iPhone app in February. So I want to sort of start by taking you through the buying process for me and explain to you why I built this. So the beginning of the process, it really kind of sucked for me, to use the right word. If you go to Ticketmaster looking for a ticket to anything popular, you probably started off your search with one of these, a beautiful CAPTCHA. Freezing temperatures, you got to type it in. If you get it wrong, you got to type in something else that's equally abhorrent. At least you can read it. It's not that bad. There are other ones that are worse. So you type it in as quick as you can. And then after that, they have to do this work thing. They have to figure out whether or not you can buy the tickets, and you can be waiting in line for a while. In this case, it was 15 minutes or more. So in that time, you're sort of sitting there twiddling your thumbs, like checking Twitter, checking your email compulsively. You're not really having a good time. You really hope you can buy your tickets. And then you just got really lucky. And this doesn't happen all the time. But suddenly, you're able to buy tickets, and you're reading, like, what does Ticketmaster tell you? It says, price level 4, uncovered general admission lawn, uncovered sections. Does that mean anything to anybody, right? That is so confusing. And then you look at the price for the tickets, you have these 4 charges. Like, what the hell does all this stuff mean? It's so confusing. So then you race off to Google, and you maybe type in that uncovered sections, general admission lawn, uncovered general, and trying to figure out like what this might look like in Google image search, and Google like shows you a bunch of pictures of like some guy cutting along with a lawnmower, and you're like, that's not it. And you're like looking at all the stuff, and then meanwhile you jump back to Ticketmaster and you realize like there was a timer and you only had 120 seconds to buy your tickets, and suddenly, no more tickets are left, right? So now this is really, really bad because you can't buy your tickets, and now you're at the mercy of one of these sites, these sites that are all the resale market and all these other places to go buy tickets. And so if you're going to do this by hand manually, you're going to go to all these sites one by one by one by one. There's 100 of them, right? And some of them add in fees just before you check out, like 20% service fees. And that makes them really expensive. And so if you're trying to price shop and find good tickets at a good value, you could be spending quite a lot of time. And now I would hate for you to have to do this on your mobile phone, because if you're going to do it on your mobile phone, you're going to run out of battery first. So that's sort of why you might say, forget it. I'm just going to stay home. I'm going to watch TV, okay? So that's why we created Netflix. Just make sure you see who's paying attention. I'm just kidding. I'm not the founder of Netflix. If I was, that would be awesome. I'm the founder of Rukkus, so this is the iPhone app. So now I'm going to show you that really bad process that happened. I'm going to show you how we do it in our app and why Rukkus is the easiest way, the simplest way to find and buy tickets to anything you want to go to. So it begins, you'll find concerts, sporting events, theater events happening near you. You have access to all this stuff. And let's say we want to focus on just this one, this New York Knicks game at MSG. This is a bit old. But let's say we want to focus on that one. What Rukkus will do is it'll go and show you the best tickets to buy and show you exactly where in the venue those seats are. So every one of these white dots on this map is a seat to purchase. So you simply set your quantity, and it's showing you the cheapest ticket available. Now, we challenge the notion that the way you buy tickets is with these really archaic section names like, section uncovered lawn, general admission, whatever. Like, that's not what we believe in. We believe that these are places in a venue. We want to show you what that actually means. And the way that we do our kind of shopping process is we ask you, like, do you want to sit closer to the action, or do you want to pay less money? Because at the end of the day, that's all you're thinking, right? You're trying to figure out where can you maximize your bang for the buck. So I'll show you the math we do to make that happen. But to show you how the process works as a user, I'm going to tap the closer button, and now I jumped from that $63 ticket way at the top, now to this ticket in the corner. So if you want to see what that seat looks like, and you're curious, like, what does it actually mean to sit in that section, you tap a button, and we'll show you an HD quality photo of what it looks like to sit in that section. Rukkus has over 15,000 high-quality photos to over 400 venues all around the country. And we have complete coverage of all the MLB venues around the country. We have all the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, all that stuff. And even the theater production. So like, if you're thinking of like Book of Mormon, or the Gershwin Theater, or David H. Koch Theater, all these like more esoteric theaters that have amazing events, we have pictures. We actually had photographers go and get pictures for you so you can see what the hell those seats actually mean. You don't have to go to Google and run out of time and do that thing and make it really, really easy. And then, best of all, is once you find the ticket you want to buy, one tap, and you can buy it. So the way that you actually buy your tickets on Rukkus is that there's no redirecting. You buy it from Rukkus. Rukkus takes care of everything for you. It processes your reservation and then gives you your ticket in the app so that you actually will get contacted by one of our customer service specialists who helps you to make sure you know how to get to the venue, you don't have any problems, you're comfortable about your tickets, really makes the process like clean and safe and fun. So that, if you're like, hey, I need to go get drinks with a girl before like I take her to, Book of Mormon, good for you. Here's some drink spot recommendations. If you're thinking about dinner, we can tell you where to go get dinner, stuff like that. Or to share, another experience with you. How many of you guys know the scene? You know the scene? What was the song playing while this was going? For $10, I'll give you $10 to anything in the app if you can tell me the song. Who is that? Well played, my friend. I don't even know that's a song. I just wanted to see if anyone would guess. So, good work. As you can tell, hip hop parade. I'm a big hip hop guy. Cool. Just find me afterwards. I'll make sure you get your money. So, the reason I brought this up. So we had a woman call us. It was on a Saturday, and she's saying like, "Hey, the tickets aren't working. And it's the game day, and she's trying to get into the venue." And we're like panicking. We're like, "Uh-oh, what happens? Like, we've never sold a fake ticket ever." So we're concerned. Like, what happened? And we get on the phone with her. She's like, "I'm at my printer, and there's nothing coming out of the printer." And we're like, "What the hell is going?" She's like, maybe I'm not. It's not plugged in. So like now I'm like we're playing tech support. Fortunately, it wasn't me. Like tech support. Hey, is it plugged in? Like, do you see the green light on the printer? Like, what printer is it? HP? Something or the other. All right, we go to Google. What does it look like? It was terrible. And then she's like, "I think I'm out of ink." I'm like, "Oh God, okay. Well, no problem. We knew exactly where she was. We knew where the venue was. We called the FedEx Kinkos. We sent them the tickets. They printed it out for her. She had a great game day experience. We turned what was a very frustrating situation with Samir about to drop kick the hell out of the printer to one of happiness and joy. She had a great time. She's now a loyal customer. She's bought tens tickets the app so far, and so we call this our bear hug approach, right? We bear hug our customers. We make sure they have a great time. So if you buy tickets from us, no matter what happens, you're going to have a great experience. So that's sort of how we do it. So if this process seems simple and easy, that's great. It's actually like what's going on behind the scenes is actually rather complex. So I'm going to take you through it really quickly just so you understand what is Rukkus actually doing. Why was this so hard to build? Why did this take us over a year to construct? So we went to all these guys, the guys you saw before, and said, give me all your tickets. And we got from them over 20 million tickets that are worth over $4 billion, right now in any given moment in time. We have that many tickets. But it turns out 20 million tickets is way too many. And actually, if you're going to like a Mets game, that show might have like thousands of tickets. And we have to make the process easy. We can't show you thousands of tickets. So what we do is we use this thing called math, and we take every one of these tickets and we score them. So that what we do is all the tickets are scored. Over here is like the really good seats, the ones that are like up on the front. And over here are the bad seats on the left-hand side. And the top axis is price. So we score all the tickets, and the objective is to find you the ones that are the best bang for the buck. So we take thousands of tickets and distill it down to the best 10 or 15 tickets, all the green dots in the very bottom, so that when you go back to this, you're only seeing those green dots. We're not wasting your time looking at all the other junk that's out there, and that's how we do the closer, cheaper thing. We're basically traversing you around that bottom axis to all those best tickets so you don't have to go and do the brain damage yourselves. So that's how Rukkus is trying to revolutionize the buying experience on mobile. I'll tell you about how we're doing later, but before I get into that, I also want to tell you one of the other things we really wanted to solve was the discovery experience. How do you find stuff to do? So, we started here before. We had all these events, and you have access to the largest events happening around you. But we wanted to make it a personalized experience, one that was relevant specifically to you and your tastes. So what we did was we built a recommendation system that scans the things you listen to on your iPhone. So we know the kinds of artists you're interested in. We know what you listen to on Spotify. We know what you like on Facebook. We take all that data about you, and we use it to create recommendations. So if there are artists that you might like that you haven't heard of, or even artists you just forgot to tell us about, Rukkus will probably know about that. So then, we also want to make it really easy. So, my kind of smell test, I take it to my dad. My dad can use it. I know we kind of got it right. So we take the Tinder-style approach. Everything in the app, you can either swipe left to remove it or swipe right to favorite it. So, actually, over Memorial Day weekend, I went back home. I went to my dad, and he opened up the app, and he sees this, and he's like, hey, Manick, who is this Deadmau 5 guy? And I was like, oh, man. And the app actually has a music player. So I watched my dad hit the music button and listen to Deadmau5, and he hated it. He absolutely hated it. So he just immediately swiped left, got rid of him, said, gone. Deadmau5 is gone. So if you find stuff you don't like, you can destroy it to make it, a feed that's kind of tailored to you that you can actually control. But whether you like Deadmau5 or not, he's a pretty cool artist. There's amazing stuff happening this summer in the city. You have Electric Zoo, you have Governor's Ball, you've got Jay-Z and Beyonce. They announced a huge tour that's completely sold out, but we have tickets to that at good prices. And even sporting events, things that are happening at Citi Field, the Mets games. Actually, what's amazing about Rukkus is we can send you to stuff like this for like $6. Like $6 for a ticket to this costs less than the Uber that I had to take to get from the city to here. $6 is nothing. So Rukkus actually, the amazing thing is because we work with the venues and the promoters, last minute there's all these tickets they can't always sell. And so we can get them to get you those tickets for like 70% off sometimes. So make sure you download the app and you have it so we can get you into shows. Last week we sent a couple dozen people to the Macklemore concert at, I think it was at the Hammerstein Ballroom for like $20, which is kind of unheard of. So this happens all the time, and the only way you can get those tickets is if you're a Rukkus member, you're in the app. So that's sort of how we do discovery. That's how it works. Tell you a little bit about how we've been doing. We launched the app in February. It was a beta version. It was a very simple version. It's actually the one that's live right now. And in I guess the last 2.5 months or so, we've kind of flown through the App Store charts. We're number 1 for NCAA tickets. We're number 2 for NHL, NBA, MLB tickets. Number 5 for concerts. Number 6 for tickets. And month over month, we've been doubling our user base and our sales numbers every month. Our users are having a really good time with the app. We have, I think, today almost 800 5-star reviews in the App Store, which is pretty cool. Makes us feel good that we're doing something right. And last month actually we broke the top charts for entertainment, which is cool, beating a lot of our really almost Ticketmaster actually, which is pretty cool. And this month actually Apple found us and featured us in their ticketing section. So that's been really great. And as I said before, we're hiring. So if any of you are developers, iOS, maybe some web, maybe some marketing people, come find me later. We're looking for people like you. And that's Rukkus. So download the app if you haven't already. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Manick. Very, very cool app. Industry ripe for disruption. I love that word, disruption. Startup word. Oh, yes. Okay. Up next, someone very special. I'd like to present you all Dr. Mara Smith, founder of Athlete Minder. Athlete Minder is an incredibly cool tool, an absolutely beautiful tool, I might add, for tracking the mental aspect of your athletic training. Like I said earlier, I'm slightly biased about this product. My company, Fueled, worked on it, which is why I'm a little obsessed with just how beautiful it really is. That being said, Mara herself is an incredibly accomplished individual. She has trained Olympians, world champions, professional athletes. 4 of the athletes she's worked with medaled at the Sochi Olympics this past winter. She's an avid hiker, more than half of the tallest peaks in the Appalachians. She has, Adirondacks, sorry. That other mountain chain that starts with an A that you've probably never been to. No offense, I've been there. And of course, she can still do a perfect cartwheel. And she's the loudest whistler that we've probably ever met. You want to demonstrate? Outside, it's that loud. Wow, that's a loud whistler. Okay. Anyway, I literally wrote wow on here because she was supposed to whistle for me, but I guess she didn't. Anyway, are we good to go with Athlete Minder? Fantastic. Okay, Mara, here we go.
Thank you very much for having me. And I live in Lake Placid, New York, and I partnered with Fueled because I had this amazing idea that was really a culmination of my life's work. So my professional life has been spent working with athletes, helping them to understand that mental skills and mental fitness, mental strength and conditioning is as important as physical strength and conditioning. So when I work with athletes and I ask them, do you think there's a mental side to your sport? They all say yes. And it doesn't matter what sport, it doesn't matter what age, it doesn't matter. You can see I'm a real tech person here. It doesn't matter how old they are or what they've done. They know that what they think can change what they do. So I decided that I wanted to create an app that would help athletes understand and begin to build the mental skills that they need to improve in their sport. So I built Athlete Minder. 30 seconds to start out. Okay, so I want everybody to raise your right index finger up to the ceiling, please. Right here. Okay. And I want you to make a big circle. I want you to look up as if you're drawing a circle on the ceiling, and you're going to go clockwise, everyone. Clockwise, you're all super smart. Come on, no one's too good for this. Come on, big circle. Big circle. And now I want you to bend your elbow so that your finger is in front of your nose, and somebody tell me which way your finger's going. Oh my God, that's like so gypsy of her. Okay, and then you're gonna go like this again, and you're like, okay, so this is what I say to my athletes, and there's one word that describes that. What is it? I know you're super smart. What's the word that changes that? Yes? Perspective. So this is what I ask athletes to do, is to take a different perspective. When something goes wrong, all an athlete wants to do is train more. They want more physical training. That's how they think they should fix something. And what I try to do is help them understand that sometimes taking a step back and reflecting on what they've done can be the most helpful thing to actually help them move forward. So now, anyway, let me tell you one of the interesting things. Athlete Minder launched 2 weeks ago Thursday. Athlete Minder launched 2 weeks ago Thursday, and the day after I launched it, wow, it was in the best new app section of the App Store. So that was really exciting, and it also told me that somebody had been playing with it at Apple because it wouldn't have been good for them to feature it if they knew that something was going to happen. So it was exciting, and I'm excited to show it to you. So the tagline is "Mind Your Sport," and that's really what I'm trying to get athletes to do. So basically, if you're an athlete, you are either training, competing, or resting on any given day. And what the app asks you to do is to choose your day. You can choose it in advance and put it in your calendar. And the purpose of this is to actually go to the app after you've done what you said you're going to do. So after training, an athlete would go and they're going to answer 5 simple questions. This is for training, and the app asks, did you think about what you wanted to do and how to do it? And you can see that dimensions go from winging it to bringing it. Tried to be a little, cheeky in my dimensions, but you can see that the way an athlete rates is just with a simple swipe. And it was important to me to not use numbers because oftentimes athletes get very fixated on numbers and exactness. And the purpose of this is to really be a little bit more reflective and intuitive. So I'm going to go middle of the road there. Did you concentrate or was your mind somewhere else? So this goes from distracted to dialed in. And, focus is an issue for a lot of athletes. And when they think about it, they train. Sometimes they get to practice and then practice is over and they haven't really kind of been there with their minds. So one of the things that you can do with Athlete Minder also is to get a couple of insights into a particular question in a dimension. So if you feel that you become distracted during training, try to segment or chunk your session. So it gives an athlete ideas of how to possibly work on that particular dimension in order to improve it. So I was pretty dialed in yesterday. Did you practice the way you want to play? And all of these questions came, I interviewed about 700 athletes and asked them a lot of different questions about what pieces of mental skills and mental strength they thought were important. Did you practice the way you want to play? So did you just get through it or were you totally into it? And the last 2 questions in every dimension are always about how an athlete ate and slept. And while it doesn't have specific nutrition, information, it's really about awareness and helping athletes understand that this is a really important component of how they train, how they compete, and how they rest, and we want them to really be thinking about it. So were you drained or, tish, fueled? Did you wake up feeling tired or totally rested? So once you are done with that, this is hard. I'm just going to have to yell because I really need my... Oh. He doesn't have to hold it up very far. Okay, so then when you're done with the 5 questions, you basically get a daily summary of that particular day. And if you want to, you can go to your reports. Now I'm going to turn my phone sideways. Okay, well, you're just going to have to turn your head sideways too. But I do want to show you because this is, you can see how you've done over the course of any week or month. And for example, this particular week, and I'm sorry that we can't turn it, but at the very top you see an orange dot, which is the competition. So orange is competition, green is training, and blue is rest. And basically you can track by all the events, by one event at a time. And the other thing that you can do is if you go to the week of training, you can look at a particular day and remember what happened. So if I show you this, you'll see that intensity is very low on that particular May 20th. And on the next day, I can look and say, I remember that. I upped my intensity. I thought about it. And that's really helpful for athletes to see. And what we've heard is that just having a graph of seeing what they've done, going every day to the app, and then being able to see all of the training that they've done, the rest, which is important, and where they've competed, is very helpful for them. When you get to the end of the app, you always get a mental strength tip. And so it's something that, I know it probably looks like a lot of text, but these are really important little nuggets of the ways in which athletes can really begin to think about how to integrate mindfulness and their own thinking about these things into what they do in order to improve. And that's really what every athlete wants to see. It's really what every human wants to see is progress. And one of the things that's been really exciting for me in just this short time is that I've been getting feedback like from a maestro. I got a feedback saying, listen, I'm a conductor and I downloaded Athlete Minder and I really like this app a lot. And just so you know, conducting is a very physically taxing activity, and I would like you to put that on your list. And so I think in a way this is really Performance Minder. We have a lot of ideas of how to customize the experience and make it much more personal, but this is an MVP. This is where I started. It was a really long road for me, and I'm not a typical tech entrepreneur. I kept thinking, oh, I wish it was my own kids. I could yell at them and get them to do something. I am the mother of 4, and this was a labor of love for me, literally. And so I would love to, hear what you think later. I really appreciate any and all feedback. And I think this is the start of something much bigger to help athletes understand that it's not just about training their bodies, but it's about training their minds as well.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mara. Dr. Smith, excuse me. Dr. Smith. Okay, we're almost there. Last demo. A company that requires very little introduction. I'm sure everyone here knows the name. You're probably also a customer. However, they're here to show off a new feature that probably you haven't heard of quite yet. I am, of course, talking about Uber, which I might add is headquartered in New York City, just up the road here in Long Island City. So first of all, let's all give Uber a round of applause for leading innovation in Queens. So I'd like to introduce Carla Vass. Carla Vass, who works particularly in the partnerships program for UberRUSH, the new messenger service that is already sweeping New York City. We use it at our office several times a day. And I'm not making this up. I spoke to a courier today who absolutely positively loves this service. It's exactly what he says he needs to maximize his own work hours. It's much more fair, transparent, democratic system. His exact words were, I don't have to bribe my dispatcher anymore because this app just sends me work. Without further ado, Carla from Uber.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me here and letting me represent Uber. So I'm sure you guys are all fairly familiar with, the Uber app as a whole. It looks something like this. And basically it connects people who are looking for a ride, so potential riders, with people who can provide a ride, drivers. As you can see, we have the UberX option, SUV, black car. I have a few others in here just because I have a special admin view. But you may have noticed a few weeks ago a new option that popped up, which is Rush. So if you go all the way over, you'll see a little bike messenger icon. And basically, the evolution of Rush is we see obviously a lot of feedback from riders and kind of asking, okay, can I take this trip? Will my driver take me from point A to point B? And one of the things we kept seeing again and again was requests to actually move items. So everything from, hey, I have this bowl of soup that I want to deliver to my sick mother. Will my driver pick it up for me? To, I forgot my kid's lunch at school. I'm going to give it to my driver. Can he take it in? And pretty much, our answer to that from a support standpoint was always, well, maybe, but your driver can't really leave his car or her car. And one thing that just kind of really did become apparent to the NYC team was just that there was this demand to kind of move things and move objects around. So we thought, okay, what's the best way that we can do this in New York? And we initially had considered cars, but I think one of the issues for us there was really just obviously all of the traffic, and sometimes it is faster for a messenger, for someone on foot, to move something. So we basically built this from the ground up. We onboarded a bunch of bike messengers, foot messengers, and this is what we came up with. So it works exactly the same way as the regular Uber app. You're just going to set your item pickup location. You can enter in an exact address. Our our pickup times, I should say, are very fast, typically under 10 minutes in Manhattan. Unfortunately, we're not picking up in Queens yet, which is terrible, but we're definitely working on it right now. Supply is just more concentrated in Manhattan. And then all you have to do is hit request, and your messenger will come to you. You give them the item, and they take it wherever it needs to go. So we really wanted it to feel like a seamless Uber experience. And the other thing that you can do is you can actually share the ETA with the recipient. So a common complaint that we heard from a lot of people who use sort of traditional courier services and messenger services is that, okay, I give my package, oftentimes something that's, fairly time sensitive. It's a contract or something like that. And it goes into this kind of black hole. And I have no idea where it is. I don't know, how many other runs the guy has to do, how many drops he's going to be making between myself and where the item ultimately needs to go. And there's no real way to sort of track it. So there's actually a feature here after you request where you can go in and share the ETA with the recipient, and that will either text or email them a live link where they can track their item's progression on a map. So that was just kind of and we have this for cars also, by the way, but it was just kind of a neat way to leverage some technology that we did already have built. And I'll just kind of show you what the process looks like. We'll have to cancel right away, but hopefully someone will accept there we go. All right, so Early is gonna come. He's on foot, and he'll be on 34th Street in 7 minutes. And then if you go in right here, you'll see the Share My ETA feature. And I have to enter the drop-off location of where the package is going. And what we typically see, he's calling me now. All right, I'm gonna cancel. I'll apologize to Early later, but but it's really, we've had some tremendous feedback. The entire trip is typically completed, within an hour because your messenger is just going from wherever you are to the destination It's a very fast process. It's transparent. You can share. You know, it's kind of fun, especially if the other person is waiting for something that's exciting to them. You know, you can share the location with them, and they can actually watch it arrive on the map. But anyway, that is UberRUSH. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Carla, stay up here for questions. If we can get the last two demoers up here as well, we're going to do one last question time, and then we'll have about 25 minutes to drink beer. Okay, so let's see. We got, there you are. Who has a question for Athlete Minder, UberRUSH, or for Rukkus? Right here.
My question is for Athlete Minder. The app seems to be very well executed from the design standpoint and functionality. How did you go about it?
I promise I did not plant that question. How did you execute such a well-designed app?
I really did not plant that question. I do not know who that is.
In terms of the team, of course, it might have been too technical. I mean, I don't want you to go into detail.
No, I couldn't even if I wanted to. It took a long time, and it was a lot of back and forth and a lot of listening because, you know, obviously the tech, I hired Fuel to do the technology, I mean, to be my dev shop, and it was a lot of listening, and, you know, I really felt like I was the expert in this, and I needed to really educate them, and there were a lot of, it took a long time. And thank you, first of all, for saying that, because I think we're all pretty proud of it, and we, you know, feel like it's an amazing start. But it was a lot of conversations, which I have to say, people sometimes aren't used to having. You know, that there's a lot of tech work done, and I really, like, we had a lot of conversations. So that would be my answer.
Great answer.
Approximately
2 years.
2 years.
Find me afterwards. I'll tell you more about how Fueled works and how we can now do it faster than that. Another question, perhaps for Rukkus or for Uber? Rukkus, over here.
First of all, great app. It's fantastic. I love especially the feature from seeing the view from your seat. Something I always wanted. But in terms of music, any plans of connecting with Spotify, Pandora, and all these kind of platforms where personally I interact a lot with it. I like songs, so all my song lists are really there. I don't have much iTunes. So give me recommendations.
Are you going to connect to other streaming services to get analytics on what I like?
So, I mean, absolutely, those are all amazing platforms, and I use many of them myself. Today, we only support like Facebook, iTunes, and Spotify. Actually, Rdio by extension as well, because Rdio and Spotify put all of your listening graph inside Facebook, where you can access it, right? So that's how we get to that data. Last.fm has an open API. Pandora's is semi-open. They don't really have documentation, but it's exposed. We actually wrote all the code to do it. But the interesting thing is we're waiting to hear more people say, hey, I'd like to be able to put that data into my graph. And so the more we hear that, the more likely we are to do it. But you know, what I will tell you is if you use the app and you use, like, let's say like Spotify or any of those platforms, we'll get that data. And the adding or the addition or removal of information in the app is super easy. It's a swipe. So if you find stuff you don't like, you can tell us or tell the app, and Rukkus will learn. So I guess in advance of us adding that feature, you know, try to do it in the app.
I've actually got a question for Uber here via text message from someone in the audience. How do you deal, I swear to God, it's right here. How do you deal with people with a courier's phone going dead in the middle of the day, or do they have like a swap out station where they get a new phone? How does that work?
Yeah, that is a great question. So if you know anything about the driver app, literally burns I mean, it's like dead in an hour. And it's great for drivers, right? Because they just put it right on their dashboard and they have it, charging all the time. So it's not a problem. For messengers on bike and foot, this was a big problem. So basically, they have a giant battery pack that we've given them that has 4 times the battery, and can be recharged. So that's how we worked around that one. But it was definitely a problem.
Awesome. Question here. More categories? Question mark?
So, we actually, from a product perspective, had to decide whether we wanted to increase the complexity and allow you to chop it down and say electronica only if you're, music, or just show me MLB or whatever. We decided against it because we actually wanted you to be exposed to, a multitude of different kinds of things. We wanted you to have that delighted feeling where you're scrolling through theater and you weren't expecting to see something, of Mice and Men with James Franco, that's coming out. So oh, that's awesome. I love James Franco, despite the selfies. So if you know James Franco, you know what I'm talking about. It's getting out of control. So I guess we decided against making it that granular. But what we are planning on adding, and it's going to come out this summer, is a new category for free. So all the free stuff that happens in the city over the summer will be captured there. So if you're looking for that and only that, it's coming soon. But we're sort of doing it in stages. So the next iteration will have your recommendations and things you're tracking, and then the version after that will have free.
We got time for one more question. Right there in the back.
I know you were saying about how Ticketmaster and a lot of the resellers have a lot of surcharges and fees built in. How, from a product perspective, are you being transparent with your customers about those fees?
How are you being transparent about how much Ticketmaster sucks?
They're actually one of our partners, so it's difficult for me to use that specific. No, you can say it. You're good. You're fine. The numbers that we display in the app are all in numbers. So, at the end of the day, we don't really think it's relevant to break out 4 separate fees. One for the guy at the door, one guy for the roof service. We don't do that because we think it's relevant at the end of the day. It's a ticket we're buying, and that ticket has a certain cost to us at the end of the day, right? So what we do is we basically take all these tickets, forget all the different fees and where they come from. We just give you all in numbers. So the price you see will be the price that you pay, and we put them all sort of in competition against each other to get you to that best ticket, to get you to, to find the right ticket for you. So you're not going to find us ever have an additional surcharge of $10 or anything like that. It's just totally transparent from the very moment you see a price. That'll be the price you're paying.
Great. Yeah, sure.
Sorry, I totally forgot. I meant to give everyone a freebie. So we'd love to obviously have your feedback and have everyone here try UberRUSH. So if you want to enter the promo code QTMRUSH in the Uber app, that will actually give you 2 free Rush deliveries anywhere you want to go. So
QTM Rush. Send that to Cooper, Steve. He's going to need that. Joly, one more question?
Well, can I put that on the video, or shall I edit it out?
Oh, well, I don't know. It's probably only going to be good for a week or so or something like that, right?
It's good for all of June.
Sweet. Keep it on the video by all means, yeah. We have time for actually one more question, maybe for Athlete Minder or Uber question. Yes, right here?
Athlete Minder, I think your application is great. I think it really addresses an often overlooked aspect of sports training because everybody, like you said, could be concentrating on the metrics and not so much about the psychological aspect behind it. Have you thought about even taking that to a web presence, having
Yes.
online? Because to me, I think that you could really take the athlete planning and the web interaction greater than even 90 Plus does.
What are your plans to bring it to the web?
I have a fantasy of creating a platform where athletes can learn, share, discover without the silos of their sport. And so, just as Athlete Minder is not sport specific, which is something that, people ask about all the time, I really think that athletes, anyone who's really trying to do something better, has a story to tell, an experience to share, and a way to learn. So we are in the website is in the works, and hopefully that won't take me 2 years to do. So that'll be sooner rather than later. But thanks, that's a good question.
Okay, unfortunately, we got to wrap things up now. I'd like to take this moment actually to thank all of our volunteers. Dan over here driving, Joly on video, Serene who helped in the front. Who am I forgetting? Bruno. All volunteer. Oh, there you in the back. Thank you to all of our volunteers. Let's give them a round of applause. If you are interested in volunteering for a future Queens Tech meetup or other Coalition for Queens event, there is a link on the Meetup site. Very simple Google form, sends me your email and all that info. We'd love for you to help out. I've told this story a couple times now, but the first time I volunteered, I helped set up chairs. The second time I volunteered, I was up here hosting the event. So anything is possible at Queens Tech Meetup. That being said, thank you everybody for coming out. If you would do us all the huge favor of taking your chair and stacking it against the back wall, that would be great. Again, thanks to our sponsors, Plaxol, Verizon Wireless, to Jennifer from SoftLayer, Shay CPA. I think that's everybody. Thank you so much. We can hang out for another 20 minutes or so. Let's finish that keg so I don't have to carry it down the stairs. Good night, everybody.